Okay, so before I go into my non-spoiler dissertation on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I need to admit something to you guys, and that is a modicum of bias. The first Aquaman holds a special place in my heart. It was the first movie of that scale I was invited onto the set of as a YouTuber. Warner Brothers flew me out to the Gold Coast of Australia so I could be on the set, meet Jason Momoa, ask him questions, meet James Wan, meet all these people who were involved in the production of Aquaman. Furthermore, go to the movie premiere and see how it all came together. Meet Jason Momoa and James Wan again, both of whom were very, very nice, and meeting Patrick Wilson in the stairwell to the bathroom, and he was nice. And so, yeah, there's gonna be bias when I watch Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. A movie I didn't like. Okay, I won't say I didn't like it. I just didn't love it. It wasn't great. It was mid. Like, that's the honest truth, man. It's like I wanted to love this movie going into it. So what happens this time around? Let me give you guys a rundown of the film without giving anything away. Black Manta is at it again with his old antics, and he is looking for a power to endow himself with more strength to take on Aquaman and wipe out Aquaman and his family. Get his revenge. Upon Aquaman realizing the threat to him, his family, his kingdom, he has to enlist the help of an old enemy, his little brother, Patrick Wilson, to help him do things to fight back Black Manta. I don't like to do these like little vignettes, these little... Yeah, so anyway, him and Patrick Wilson team up. Yeah, that's their adventures they're in. I'm watching and I'm like, this is a long intro to this film. You could have cut that first 15 minutes and just gotten right into the heart of it, into the throes of the story. But for some odd reason, I don't know if it was the studio or who wrote this. I don't know if it was the studio or the writers or whoever, but there was a lot of exposition to start the story off. Within that exposition, I found something I didn't like, and that was the portrayal of Aquaman by Jason Momoa this time around. There was something likable about him in the other installments that we've seen of Aquaman, whether it's Justice League, the Zack Snyder Justice League. Where else did he show up? In the Aquaman film. Wherever we have seen him show up, I've liked him more than I liked him this time around. Whatever he did in Fast X worked in Fast X. Whatever he did in Fast X does not work in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And he did whatever that was and cranked it up. It's like, it's too much, dude. You ever hang out with someone and you're having drinks and you're having a good time and there's like ha-has going around, but then like they had way more to drink than you, and now they're just obnoxious, and you kind of want to get away from them? That's how Arthur Curry started to feel in this movie at a certain point. Exacerbated by the fact that you got him side by side with Patrick Wilson, who is taking the material seriously and doing a fantastic job. Patrick Wilson's character has his goofy moments and his jokes, the things that he says that are kind of ridiculous, or things that he does that are kind of ridiculous. But he also has his serious moments, and he balances that line perfectly. I don't know if that's because he's got a better relationship with James Wan, because he's just more trained. I have no idea. Jason Momoa's been around a long time too. It just seemed like Jason Momoa was like, I'm just gonna have fun. And that's what he did. I felt like he needed to ground the character a bit more. Sometimes it was funny, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I enjoyed it, and I was like, this is, it tickled me. There's an interaction between him and Black Manta where Black Manta kind of shames Arthur Curry. I actually laughed out loud. I thought that was really funny. I could have used more of whatever that was. Black Manta had one moment in the entire film where he had fun. The rest of the time, he was just this mugging, serious, angry, vengeful guy. For whatever reason, when he assumes the role of David, Black Manta, I'm just like, dude, you're kind of boring. Have you heard? How much have you heard? How much heard is in, you getting the joke? When you watch the trailer, Heard is in there for like a frame. Whoa, man, they whittled her down. They whittled her down so much, and I'm like, is she in this movie? Do we just acknowledge her and then the movie moves on without her? Like that one line in the last season of House of Cards, Frank died. What? What happened to, he died just off one line? I thought that's what it was gonna be like this time around, where we just like one-line her out of this movie. Dude, she has a big part. All this nonsense that happened in the trial of her getting cut down, maybe she did get cut down, but goddamn, like, she's got a significant role in this film. I was shocked. There were instances initially when seeing her that I started getting flashbacks of, you know, all that court drama, but I tried to just move that aside and enjoy her performance for what it is. I came to the realization that I've never really liked Amber Heard in terms of her acting. This was her best performance for me. And that's not saying a lot, honestly. I'm not like losing my mind seeing her, like, why is she in this movie? I was more amused. I'm like, whoa, like she's in this. I want to pivot into something positive here because it sounds like I hate the movie. The visual effects was great, like really, the visual effects was remarkably strong. It was a lot of world building and in a wonderful way. I'm like, we got a lot going on here. It's like, I want to spend time in this world a bit more. I wish the movie, oddly, would take its time allowing me to hang out in these environments because it's so interesting and we're just kind of flying past it. It was just moving along at a clip through the most interesting stuff. There was a lot of action. And the action was cool, the action was fun. The best part of this film, honestly, was, and it was a smart move, it was pairing up Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson. They played off of each other very, very well. I still stand by my statement. I wish that they dialed back Jason Momoa's or Arthur Curry's, whatever that was. I wish they dialed it back because it just felt like too much, but they still played off of each other very well. And there was a fun adventure in this movie. You know who I could have done with more of, funny enough, was Nicole Kidman. Like, there is some action that happens at about the 25-minute mark of the film. They made her look cool. They made Nicole Kidman look pretty awesome. And I'm like, yo, let's get more of that, whatever that was right there. That was sick. One thing that struck me as a little bit odd was how much it felt like this film was borrowing from Lord of the Rings. Like, there's this whole history that the film starts talking about, and I'm not gonna get too deep into it. Stylistically, it was coming straight out of LOTR, dude. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I like Lord of the Rings a lot. It's one of my favorite trilogies. I'm sure it's many of your favorite trilogies. I'm not mad at that, but I couldn't help but notice even the color palette looked something like straight out of Lord of the Rings. The style, the design, and all that stuff. This needed to be, oddly enough, it needed to be a longer movie that took its time. It felt like it was trying to do all this stuff and it was just moving along, ha-has, ribbing the audience again and again and again. And honestly, like in the last 10 minutes, I was like getting kind of winded and I almost fell asleep because it was just getting to be a lot. But if the film had taken its time and allowed me to enjoy certain things, took out some of the ribbings, took out some of the jokes, took itself a little bit more seriously, I think that it would have been a much better movie and it would have felt better paced. You could have kept your 2-hour runtime, maybe even shave off a couple minutes and just take a little bit of time to breathe in certain moments and allow us to get invested in this world, get invested in everything going on. It was racing to the finish line between the action, the ha-has, the environmental messages, and then before you know it, we're in the third act and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm having a hard time caring about a lot of stuff happening in this movie. I was trying my best to just have a good time, and I was just mostly exhausted. And it's sad because the world that they were setting up was so interesting. I enjoyed, a certain amount of this movie, and what I'm left with is that was an experience. That was a movie, and I don't need to watch that a second time. I wish that I had more fun. I wish that I had as much fun as Jason Momoa was having while making this movie.